Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the JK Lakshmi Cement call for the quarter and year ended 31st March 2021, hosted by PhillipCapital India Private Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions at the end of today's presentation. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star and 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Vaibhav Agarwal of PhillipCapital India Private Limited. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Aman. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of PhillipCapital India Private Limited, we welcome you to the Q4 FY21 and FY21 call of JK Lakshmi Cement. I need to highlight that JK Lakshmi Cement is also the holding company of Udaipur Cement Works Limited, and therefore the call is also open for discussion about the performance of Udaipur Cement Works Limited. On the call, we have with us Dr. Shailendra Choksi, Whole-time Director, and Mr. Sudhir Bidkar, CFO of JK Lakshmi Cement. I would like to mention on behalf of JK Lakshmi Cement and its management that certain statements that may be made or discussed on the conference call may be forward-looking statements related to future developments and current performance. These statements are subject to a number of risks, uncertainties, and other important factors which may cause the actual developments and results to differ materially from the statements made. JK Lakshmi Cement Limited and the management of the company assumes no obligation to update or alter these forward-looking statements, whether as a result of new information or future events or otherwise. I will now hand over the floor to the manager of JK Lakshmi Cement for their opening remarks, which will be followed by interactive Q&A. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vaibhav, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Sudhir Bidkar, along with our whole-time director, Mr. Choksi, and my colleague, Mr. Bagga and Rajesh. Welcome you to Q4 quarterly conference call. You would have all seen the results. Nothing much to mention, and we can use this time for more of question answer. So the floor is open for question answers, please.
Sure, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to limit their question to 1 per participant. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Arjit Shah from Tricon Stock Broking Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for taking my question, and congratulations. Sir, I have just one question regarding one of your small subsidiaries, which is Udaipur Cement Works Limited. I would just like to understand what are your plans for this company in terms of capex, growing the capacity, and also more importantly, I see it has a debt of around 500 crores. So going ahead, if at all there are more capex plan in this company, do we plan to give some sort of ICDs to it, or how does it work? And in future, do you plan to amalgamate the Udaipur Cements in your parent company? Is that the plan?
Your voice was echoing. Can you repeat the question with slightly, because it is echoing? I'm not able to hear your question.
Sure, sir, sure. Is it clear now?
Slightly better, yeah.
Okay. So, sir, my question is regarding one of your tiny subsidiaries, which is Udaipur Cement Works Limited. I just want to understand what are the capex plans there, and going ahead, if it is going to have any sort of capex, will it happen through ICDs from your parent company? And eventually going ahead, any plans of amalgamating that company into the parent? What is the plan out there, sir?
Yeah. This Udaipur Cement Works Limited presently has a capacity of 1.2 million tons of clinker and 1.6 million tons of cement. They are in the midst of completing a balancing project, which will get completed hopefully by the end of this quarter, which will take their capacity in clinker from 1.2 to 1.5 and cement capacity from 1.6 to 2.2. This is a 60 crores project which will be funded through a debt of 40 crores on their books directly, and 20 crores would be their own internal accruals. Going forward, they have already announced 2 quarters back that they are going in for an expansion project, which involves setting up of clinkerization additional line of 1.5 million tons, and 2.5 million commensurate grinding capacity. This capital project will cost about 1,400 crores. There will be no ICD as such. It will be funded through a mix of debt and equity. We have not formed up or announced any final means of financing for this project of 1,400 crores. But broadly, it will be around 2 or 2.3:1, 30% promoters' contribution and balance by loan. And the equity obviously will come, not by way of ICD, but by way of equity infusion can happen from JK Lakshmi. And JK Lakshmi has sufficient liquidity. It will not be required to borrow money to induct equity into UCWL. To answer your last question regarding amalgamation or merger of this company into the parent company, right now we don't have immediate plans, but ultimately it will happen. We don't want to define a timeline, therefore. The basic reason there why we are not merging upfront is the differential tax rate. JK Lakshmi, while UCWL is at the low tax rate of 25%, JK Lakshmi still continues at the old regime of 35%. That is because of this MAT credit entitlement of about 250 crores sitting in their balance sheet. So till the time that gets exhausted, and then when JK Lakshmi also graduate to 25% tax rate, when both the companies are at the same tax slab, then that will be the fortunate time for merger.
Makes sense. And so this 1,400 crore expansion that you mentioned, in what time frame that we can expect to come in?
We are talking of a 3 years implementation schedule. Maybe beginning once this balancing project is over, that will be the zero date for the new project, expansion project. Maybe sometime next quarter.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir. That answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Prateek Kumar from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Sir, can you just congrats for great results?
Thank you.
My question is on production and sales volume figures for like consolidated and standalone numbers.
Sorry, come again.
Production and sales numbers for consolidated and standalone company. So for fourth quarter and annual numbers.
Yeah, this production for this JK Lakshmi for this quarter was 17.24 lakh tons of clinker and 26.07 lakh tons of cement. And sales were 28.04 for JK Lakshmi and 1 lakh of clinker. So total was around 29.4. So that is as far as JK Lakshmi. We also want consolidated for the year.
Yeah, consolidated volume for the year and quarter.
Yeah, I'll just open it. Yeah, you can note down this consolidated number for this is production is including UCWL total is 71 point, clinker is 71.31, cement is 92.61, and sales is cement 106.61 lakh tons of cement including Udaipur annual, and clinker is 12.64. So total is 19.25 lakh tons of cement and clinker, and it does include 14.75 inter-unit sales which has to be eliminated. So on a net consolidated, if one were to eliminate the inter-unit transaction, the consolidated is 104.5.
104.5 lakhs of total volume for JK Lakshmi consolidated.
Sales volume 98.89 plus 20.36 minus inter-unit of 14.75 gives you 104.50.
And sir, what will be this for fourth quarter for consolidated numbers?
Fourth quarter consolidated number. Rajesh, आप बोल देंगे? Mr. Rajesh, can you give the figure for the fourth quarter consolidated, please? I have the annual one. You can come back in the queue. I'll give the answer subsequently.
And sir, RMC revenue also.
RMC revenue, I can give you right away.
Sir, I'm having the numbers for the fourth quarter.
Please.
Yeah, JKLC sale was 29.04 lakh ton.
Yeah.
And UCWL 5,81,000. Total is 34.85. And
Right.
inter-unit which is to be eliminated, it is 4.48 lakh ton. And net is 30.87.
Right. Thank you, Rajesh. And give the RMC revenue also, Rajesh, please.
Yeah, RMC revenue this quarter is 41 crore.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. That's from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone who has a question may press star and one. The next question is from the line of Amit Das from Mount Intra Finance Limited. Please go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yeah, very much. Please go ahead with your question.
Thanks for the opportunity, sir. Actually, my question has been answered.
Okay, sure. Not an issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone who has a question may press star and one. The next question is from the line of Sanjay Nandi from Ratnabali Investment Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good noon, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, sir. Sir, can you please just throw some light on the current scenario of demand and supply as on date we are standing? Like what has been in the exit from March quarter and what has been the scenario as of now where we are talking about?
Am I audible?
Yeah.
From the month of April, when the wave 2 started, there has been an impact on the volume, mainly because of the lockdowns and the self-regulation that many of the trade associations in different states had imposed.
Mm-hmm.
As a result, May had seen an overall volume of around 70-72% for the industry as against the month of March. And we also followed the same trend.
So, sir, if I am not wrong, sir, it's 30% kind of volume drop happened from the exit of March quarter, right? That's what you are saying, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, 30%
And
kind of.
May was slightly higher, in fact. Another 4 or 5% further has been affected because of the rural now getting impacted.
Okay.
It was the mainstay in the wave 1.
Mm-hmm.
That has been very badly impacted.
Mm-hmm.
So the volumes remain affected in the rural areas, but the urban areas are gradually coming back to life, and we expect that another 1 week things should get much better.
Much better. And what about the pricing scenario, sir? Like in the other parts of the country, you have seen some price hikes happening in the southern parts. So what about in our areas of operations in the northern region, sir? Any hike happened from the March exit quarter?
Both in north and east, we have not seen any price increase. If at all, we have seen some slippages. But I think the bigger issue has been that the trade challenge segment being greatly impacted. Most of the sales for most of the companies are in the non-trade segment. As a result, the overall realization is getting impacted. But we believe they are all short-term issues, and going forward, once the wave 2 subsides, things should get better in the trade segment as well.
And my second question is that, sir, like, can you just guide us on what is the net debt to capacity standing on the books as on date, both on a standalone and console basis, as well as what would be our repayment schedule going forward?
Yeah, we have on a standalone basis as of March a debt of 1125 on gross debt basis, and there's a cash of 725 sitting on the balance sheet. So the net debt for the company is 400 crores only.
Okay.
So this is substantially reduced from over 1,000, which was there as of March on a standalone basis, March 20. So there's a reduction of almost 620 crores of net debt from 1020 to 400 crores. That is as far as the standalone JK Lakshmi is concerned. On a consolidated basis, our debt is 1650, which includes 525 additional debt of UCWL, and there the cash is about 195. So 820. Net debt is about 820. 420 is theirs, and ours is 400.
Sir, console thing, will you please repeat that, sir? 1650 is the gross debt, right? On a console basis?
Gross debt is 1650 on a consolidated basis, and we have a cash of about 830 crores on a consolidated basis. 725 of JK Lakshmi and 105 of UCWL. That makes it 830. So the net debt is 1650 minus 830, 820.
Got it.
820 includes 400 of the parent company, 420 of the subsidiary.
Okay. Yeah. And what will be the repayment schedule going forward, sir? Like what kind of payment we are looking forward?
We have a repayment in UCWL. There is not much repayment, but in case of JK Lakshmi, it's about 330 crores getting matured in the coming year.
Okay, sir. Thank you for coming in the queue, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyone who has a question may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Rahul Veera from Abakkus. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. So just a quick question. On a broader level, I understand we've been working on a lot of cost efficiencies. So in terms of the realization plus the cost efficiencies have brought in wonderful results. Wanted to understand in terms of going ahead, what will be the strategy to maintain the cost in terms of per ton basis, sir?
Cost is, as far as cost is concerned, we are in Siroi plant implementing a waste heat recovery project. Right. And that will get commissioned by the third quarter of this financial year. So that will help us to further reduce our power cost and reduce our dependence on either the thermal power. So our renewable power would be, which is already at around 50% in case of Udaipur, 40% plus in case of this Durg, will be in Siroi also 40% after the commissioning of this waste heat recovery project. So other than that, the initiatives, one thing which will get impacted in the coming year would be the increased fuel prices. Full impact was not there in the last financial year because of the low cost inventory which we were carrying till almost the fourth quarter. But going forward, that impact would be there certainly. And we are also working closely to reduce our logistic costs, and that is a continuous exercise. We have been able to marginally reduce our lead distance as well. And all these factors would help us to improve our costs, barring those extraneous factors like the fuel prices, etc. But other than that, we are all working on that. We are also implementing an additional solar power project in Udaipur. That will also help us to further increase the share of the renewable power. That will be implemented by, again, the third quarter. A small project of about 5 megawatts. So that will further help us to reduce the power cost.
Right. So given the WHR is coming in third quarter vis-a-vis the current high prices of fuel, do you think we'll be able to sustain the current EBITDA per ton run rate over the next 1 year, 1-2 years?
That depends on the basically our ability to pass on the cost increases, which will be based on the demand which is there in the market. So it's difficult to say at this stage, but our endeavor would be to maintain it.
Sure.
I think these are not individual unit specific increase. These increases are to the pan industry, either their logistic or the fuel cost. And therefore our ability or the probability to pass on would be better. But much will depend on when the demand really comes back. As we are hoping that by June, the demand should get back to normalcy, then the it's a high chances of us able to correct the pricing to match some of these cost increase. The possibilities are there.
Sure. Fair point, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one. The next question is from the line of Sahil Shah from Ocean Dial. Please go ahead.
Hi everyone. I had a question on, especially on the ESG side, on environment. As you just mentioned about a solar plant, but apart from that, what are you all doing in terms of reducing emissions? And in terms of disclosures, you can't see much disclosures from your side. So when do you plan to come up with some kind of sustainability report, like your larger peers have done?
We are already all these emission norms are well within the guidelines or the parameters laid down by the government or the Pollution Control Board. So we are well within that. And with the further implementation of the solar power projects, be it at Durg or Sirohi or even at Udaipur, we will be able to further reduce the carbon emission. So this sustainability report will be publishing shortly.
So will it be this year?
Yeah, it will come.
Yeah, this year only.
This year only.
So it will have all the disclosures in terms of...
Yeah, whatever it will have whatever
all the disclosures. And if you have seen our reports earlier, we were one of the earlier ones to take measures to control our SOx and NOx emission especially from our Durg plant. So we are, and as Mr. Bhatkar explained, that even in terms of carbon footprint, we are very much in line, in fact, as good as the top peers in the group, in the industry.
Right, that's great. And once you are done with your WHRS, how much WHRS as a percentage of your total power, what would that be?
As I mentioned, it will be almost 40% of our total power requirement would be through the renewable energy.
40%.
And 40
but is there
and
a scope to further increase?
It will be, that scope is not there for waste heat recovery, but we can always add solar. You see, depending on the availability of land at that. Like in case of Udaipur, we are already 50% plus. So waste heat recovery, there may not be much scope because all the 3 planes at Sirohi, we would have done this waste heat recovery. Some technical improvement can always improve some generation of power from the waste heat recovery, but there is a limit to which they can go. But renewable for the solar, certainly we can always increase.
Got it. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sameda Srinivasan from ICICI Prudential AMC. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for taking my question. Congratulations on a great set of numbers. A couple of questions. One was, what would be the capex for the solar project as well as the WHRS?
WHR waste heat recovery, we are talking of a capex of about 175 crores, and that will get implemented, as I mentioned in response to earlier question, by around third quarter. Right. The solar power which is being implemented in this Udaipur Cement Works is under the captive model. The entire capex is being done by the sponsor or the person the company which is setting up. We are only inducting 26% equity into that SPV, and that project for 5 megawatt is going to cost close to about 19 crores and would be funded through a debt equity of 70/30 debt, 30 equity, and out of that equity we are contributing 26%. So our outgo is about 1.5 crores only as far as Udaipur for that solar power is of 5 megawatt is concerned, and they have agreed to give it at a fixed tariff. It will result in a saving. Today the tariff in grid cost is about 7 rupees plus, and this comes to us at less than 4 rupees. So almost 3 rupees per unit, and the payback for that investment of 1.5 is 11 months.
Okay. Okay, right. And what would be the savings that can be expected from the waste heat recovery?
Sorry, come again.
The savings expected from waste heat recovery?
Waste heat recovery will, because there also it is not, we are going to substitute basically the thermal power where it is costing us about 5.5, and this will cost us waste heat recovery at less than on a like-to-like basis 1.5. So around 3 rupees plus saving would also be there, including the maintenance O&M charges.
Okay, okay. And just one last question from my end. So there was some news about Chhattisgarh trucker strike sometime in March. So did that have any impact on our business? And going forward, is there any plans of having the railway siding in case any such road transport issues come up?
Transportation strike issue was there in Chhattisgarh, which got over after about 13 days. It impacted our dispatches in the month of March. That may not be the cause of putting up a railway line immediately. This happened only once in 5 years. It's not something which is bound to happen regularly. But once we increase our capacity in Durg going forward, then of course we will look at having a railway siding at Durg as well.
But is there, what would have been the impact on volumes because of this for those 10-15 days?
It was a 13-day loss. We lost dispatches of about close to 80,000 tons.
Okay, great. That's it from my end, sir. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Mukhil Ashran from CI People. Please go ahead.
Hello, hi. First of all, congratulations for the outstanding results. My question is about the shareholding pattern. In the last 4 or 5 quarters, like we haven't increased the shareholding pattern from the promoter side. Is there any plan? Is there any plan to actually increase the promoter shareholding in the future? And from the pandemic perspective, like is there any plan to actually mitigate the risk from the pandemic, from the corona side actually?
Risk, sorry, can you repeat the last part of your question, please, slightly, because your voice is getting echoed.
The question is about the pandemic actually. Like how are we planning to mitigate the risk associated with the pandemic?
Risk
pandemic.
Yeah, in the future. Yep.
As far as the first part of your question is concerned, you're right. Our shareholding has been constant at around 45-46%. We don't have any immediate plans as such to increase our stake in that. So that is one. Regarding the pandemic, we are doing all possible, taking all possible precautions to see that the impact of pandemic is minimum in our case. We have already started vaccination programs for all our employees across all plants and head offices, and are taking care of our employees across wherever there are positive cases.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Madhav Mata from Fidelity. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir, good evening, and thank you so much for your time. I just wanted to understand, has there been an addition to our management team or a planned addition to our management team at the senior level that's about to happen at the CEO level?
We have inducted one Mr. Arun Shukla as president in the month of February. He has a rich experience in the cement, has been working with Lafarge for quite some time, and his last assignment was with Dalmia at an executive director's level. So that he has joined us as president in February.
Okay. And he will be looking after the sales and marketing for the organization?
As president, he is supposed to look after both sales and marketing and the plant operations.
Okay, cool. Okay, understood. Okay. And my second question was, given that our new capacity expansion will likely come, the big one will likely come after 3 years. So for the next 3 years, can the company grow in line with the industry at say 6-7%, or can we face any sort of capacity constraint on the clinker side, especially?
We don't see that because we do have surplus grinding capacity, and clinker we are already doing this balancing project in Udaipur, which will marginally increase our clinker capacity. Then 3 years is for the grinding to 2.5 to happen. Internal target that the clinkerization can happen, which is because the location is there, there is no need for any land acquisition, etc. That need not wait for 3 years. That can happen much faster than that. In between, we can always improve the cement capacity by improving the blending and all that.
Okay. So clinker
we expect our growth to be in line with the industry. There will not be much of a constraint therein.
Okay, sir. Understood. And maybe just last question from my side would be the cost initiatives that we have ongoing. If I understand right, one is on the power side, which is WHRS and solar, and then we have some on the logistics side. So, can you help us understand like how much savings per ton can these bring about in the next say couple of years?
It is very difficult to quantify that number now, especially when the major cost parameters are still getting a change because of the increase in the petroleum and the fuel price. Right. But yes, whatever measures we have taken, we expect that they will continue to give us some savings continuously, at least for some time to come.
And last question from my side is, what would a capex number be for FY22 and FY23 as things stand today?
Coming year, the FY22, as far as the parent company JK Lakshmi is concerned, we have only the remnant of the waste heat recovery. So broadly, about 100 crores capex is left therein, and maybe around 30 to 40 of the normal maintenance capex. In case of Udaipur, they will be completing their balancing project, for which they have already incurred about 40 odd crores by March. Another 20 will get used in the coming quarter, and thereafter they will embark on the expansion. So that is, as I mentioned earlier, it is a 1400 crores project implementable over 3 years period. So first year, I don't see much of a capex, but maybe around 200 odd can happen there for that capex.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Piyush Khandelwal from BOI AXA Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for the opportunity. So what's our current mix in terms of trade versus non-trade sales for full year FY21?
Yeah, can you repeat? Your voice is echoing. Can you repeat your question, please?
Am I audible now?
Yeah, better.
Yeah, you are audible.
What's the current mix in terms of trade and non-trade sales for full year FY21?
We had close to 50 to 51% as a trade sale. That was a slight dip compared to the year before prior to that. That is mainly because in the Corona period and the first wave also, on many of the quarters, especially in quarter 2 and 3, the trade sale had got impacted and the non-trade sale emphasis had to be levied once back to maintain the volumes.
What was that a year before?
That time we were close to 53 to 54% of trade.
Okay. Another question is, sir, let's say, just a derivative to the previous participant's question. Let's say we assume cost inflation stays at the current levels. then what could be the cost savings going forward? You can help us quantify based on this WHRS and the logistics initiatives that you are taking.
The logistics saving should result in something like 40 to 45 rupees a ton saving at the current rate of logistic costs.
Okay. So just another question is, what's our blended cement mix and any target to improve that going forward?
Yeah, that is a continuous focus, but that again depends on how much are you able to improvise in the trade segment sale. Because our trade sale, barring Gujarat, in the rest of the states, on an average, we supply about 80% of the blended cement in the trade segment. So it largely will depend on where the demand comes in the year forward, going forward. The non-trade trade invariably results in higher OPC cement sales.
Okay. Another question is, sir, as you said, this Mr. Arun Shukla has joined us, and his background is mainly in marketing and sales. So any kind of change in strategy towards moving up the price curve, or any targets internally that we have kept?
Yeah, internally, it has been our attempt to move up the price positioning. We are, in any case, we enjoy in most of our markets where we operate, we enjoy a A2 position. We are certainly not in the A1, where today you only have UltraTech. But in A2, where you have the likes of Ambuja, ECC, Wonder in North, and ourselves, we are in the A2 position.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir. And all the best for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sameda Srinivasan from ICICI Prudential AMC. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for taking my question again. So just one last question I had on realization. So sequentially, I think we've seen almost a 3% increase in realization per ton. So was this because of increase in prices in North market or East, or did we see good price hikes in both market? And if you could give us a regional mix of our volumes, if that's possible?
It's very difficult to segregate all the three regions. But broadly, the factors are that there has been a price improvement in the North, some price improvement in some of these states in the East, and also because of the better control on the logistic cost and higher component of premium product sale. They all have contributed to increasing the realization.
Okay. So what would have been our premium sales as compared to earlier quarter or same quarter last year?
We increased almost 5 to 6% our trade sale into the premium category in last year.
Sorry, can you come again, sir? I didn't hear the number.
There was an increase of 5 to 6% in our premium sale as a percentage of the trade sale.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Prayatan Mahajan from Kotak. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thank you for the chance and great set of numbers there, sir. So just most of the questions have been answered. So just on the power and fuel cost, we have seen a reduction, whereas the spot prices have been increasing quarter on quarter. Can you just guide on, we've been commenting that the impact is going to come every next quarter. So where are we on a spot basis? what kind of an impact do we see in the first half?
We should see that impact of the increased cost of the petcoke and the coal in this quarter as well as in the coming quarter. So we are almost currentized now. Old inventory is all exhausted.
So, sir, any guidance on the gaps is what I'm trying to understand. Did we hedge for $80, $100 and the spot is 130? Any number which we could look at? Probably the impact.
We are presently booking it around 95 which were last purchased.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, sir. So secondly, on your NSR increase has been quite impressive as compared, given the channel checks are not suggesting an increase. Any other reason for the rise in NSR apart from premium product sales in terms of incentives, etc.?
We don't have any incentive.
There is no other.
Right. So, sir, can we then assume that this, once the demand comes back, we can actually command a premium like this vis-a-vis competition for our products?
Well, it much depends on how much are we the premium product category product sales. We have already reached that in southern markets at 29-30% of our trade sales. So the attempt would be to bring all the markets to about that level, and that should help us. That is number one. Number two, we have seen better price improvements in some of the states, and our attempt is to increase our sales in those states. That should also help us to shore up our realization. So that's a very dynamic situation. It keeps on fluctuating state to state. You have to maintain certain minimum sales also to survive in the other states. So it's a very dynamic situation and very difficult to comment, at a time like this when already you are struggling to get the minimum sales.
That's right, sir. So, just one last question. Sir, any guidance on the volume front now that we've shown an 8% odd growth in our numbers? Any guidance for FY22 as of now?
See, in such uncertain times like present, I think anybody's guess is as good as mine. But what I can only say is that if the corona does not, paralyze us again, and if things get back to normal to June, then we should certainly look to maintain a sales growth of anywhere between 6 to 8%. But it's a very big if. Yeah. We all know that corona is very, very uncertain, very unpredictable at times.
Right. So, is just one last question. So, in the last 2 months or so, now that we've completed May also, so what is the kind of impact on the ground when it comes to the government projects? Are you seeing a demand, decline from the government projects as well? Because urban, we feel that, obviously people are not undertaking any work, so the IHB is impacted. But how's the scenario with the government projects under these circumstances?
The government on itself doesn't become the primary constructor. They mostly outsource to the contractors, and depending on those contractors' financial muscle, they are able to maintain the contracts. But in states like Chhattisgarh, where they have already announced stoppage of some of the infra project work because of their inability to pay to the contractors. So states like them have an impact. Other states we have not seen any decline in the infra projects. They continue to go in a normal routine manner.
Right, sir. Right. That's it, sir. Thank you and congratulations on a great set of numbers.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amit Murarka from Motilal Oswal. Please go ahead.
Hi. Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity. So, a few questions. Firstly, a couple of them on UCW.
So I believe there were some incentives that UCW which are going to expire by March. So just wanted to confirm, have those expired now, and what will be the impact of the same on UCW P&L?
That has expired, but that timeline has gone, so they are no longer eligible for that incentive. So they were getting an incentive of about 40 to 50 rupees per ton on the sales which they were making in the state of Rajasthan.
Right. Okay. And regards the UCW project, so like last time you mentioned, financial closure is expected by June. So is it still you're still expected by June, or is it getting delayed now?
No, I have said the first balancing project is expected to be completed by June, and thereafter we'll embark on the new expansion project. So we will come up with the form up means of financing in the second quarter of this financial year.
Okay, and in terms of
broad indication I've given of the debt and the equity.
Okay, sure. Also, I think in the last call you had mentioned that you might actually do a rights issue also at UCW. So that again will happen sometime later this year then, once the financial closure is through?
Yeah, that once we do the financial, that is one of the options we are evaluating, whether we go for a direct equity induction or a rights issue. So once that our means of financing is formed up, we'll certainly announce whether it is a direct induction or a rights issue of that. It could be rights issue also.
Okay. So direct induction, by direct induction you mean what? You will be giving intercorporate loans into the company?
It is going to be equity induction only. They have to, otherwise if they are also borrowing their 70% and we also give ICD, then it will be 100% debt finance. That is no project can sustain 100% debt. So it will be equity induction only. Form, whether it will be direct or through rights route, is to be followed.
Right. Got it. Also, like I don't know if it was already shared in the opening comment, but in the result it's mentioned there was a CWIP write-off at Durg. So what was that on account of?
That is on account of the conveyor belt which was getting implemented therein. So last 1 year there has not been much progress because of this COVID pandemic. So some write down has to happen, because ultimately when you are carrying asset as per the accounting standard laid down by the Institute of Chartered Accountants, the carrying cost of an asset cannot exceed the present value of the future benefit which it is going to get to you. Right? So on that basis, since it was lying in capital work in progress for quite some time, and there was some capitalization of the pre-operative, etc., and assessing various aspects of the ultimate gain which may happen, this was the best that could have happened. So we have taken that impairment hit this time.
Sure. So as of now, you think there is no visibility by when can we get through with the project?
I'm not saying that there is no visibility. Our endeavor is to complete the land acquisition, which is the stumbling block for the implementation of this project. If that gets completed in, say, 3 to 4 months, the implementation period is 8 to 9 months thereafter, once we are in possession of that about half a kilometer of land. So anywhere between 10 to 12 months, we see this project getting commissioned on the assumption that we get the land in 3 to 4 months time.
Okay. And this CWIP write-off obviously would not be for land, right? This will be maybe for the equipment or whatever you had ordered for the project.
Obviously, land you don't write off. It is only for the pre-operatives and some change in design, etc. That's all. Otherwise, and some impairment in the actual machinery, because it includes some rubber parts. Last time we had taken about 10% impairment there. We have taken another 25. So that 25 is part of this. 25% of that rubber part is the part of that 30 crores impairment overall, which we have taken this time.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraints, we request participants to limit their question to one per participant. Also, anyone who has question may press star and one. Please note this is a final reminder for questions and no further reminders will be placed after this. Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pritesh Sheth from Edelweiss Wealth. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, very much.
Okay. So thanks for the opportunity and congrats on the great set of numbers and strengthening the balance sheet. Can you remind me the WHRS capacity that we are putting in Sirohi plant right now?
Yeah.
It's how much in megawatts?
That is close to about 8 megawatts.
Sorry, how much?
8 megawatts.
8 megawatts, okay. And even your new Udaipur plant will have WHRS, I assume?
Yeah, Udaipur we already have.
No, the new one?
Yeah. In the expansion, there will be a provision for WHRS.
This new one is for the Sirohi one. The waste heat recovery which we are putting it is at Sirohi plant in JK Lakshmi.
Understood, sir. So in Udaipur, the expansion that you are doing.
He's talking about the proposed expansion, yeah.
Yeah, for the proposed expansion, we have already the plan to have a commensurate waste heat recovery along with the kiln.
Okay, and there what would be the size?
That again would be about 7.5 megawatts.
Okay, fair. And one last question on the pricing. So you said that non-trade demand is better than the trade right now. So any change in terms of pricing in the non-trade segment that we are seeing that is materially different from the trade prices? Any price hikes that we have seen or pricing pressure that we have seen over the last couple of months?
No, we had just in the beginning of the first fortnight of April, but now we are not seeing any pressure because most of the non-trade infra projects are with certain time validity. So the volatility is much less.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Pankaj Tanna from Varun Investment. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. I just wanted to know for Udaipur, your expansion of 1,500 crores what would be the capacity of the plant that would be spent?
This new capex of 1,400 crores envisages a clinker capacity of 1.5 million and cement capacity of 2.5. So their clinker, which after the completion of balancing would be 1.5, will double to 3 million. And the cement capacity, which will be 2.2 after the completion of balancing, will go up to 4.7 or close to 5.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question is from the line of Prateek Kumar from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Thanks for the opportunity again. My question is on what was the annual payment for BCG during the year? And why are we saying 175 crore capex for a 8 megawatt Sirohi WHR? Isn't it very high?
It includes also some desulfurization project also, number one. Number two, it will also involve setting up of a dryer of about 10 to 15 crores because right now what is happening, at times we don't get dry fly ash, so we were using the waste heat gases of the kiln 3 for drying the fly ash. Now, since the entire gases would be used for generation of the power, there would be a need for a separate dryer for drying the wet fly ash. So that is how that capex is slightly higher. Regarding the BCG, we have retained them for some additional work that is spilling over to the 2 years. So this year the outgo may not be much, but depending on what savings they are going to generate, because it is linked to the actual benefits which we are going to get.
FY21 payment I was asking actually.
Sorry?
I was asking about FY21 payment to BCG.
Don't have the figure right now, but broadly it was the old one was already completed year before that. This year there was some study only which they have conducted, so marginal payment was there. Other than that, there is not much payment to them.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Uttam Kumar Shimal from Axis Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon and congratulations on great set of numbers. So my question relates to.
Your voice is slightly echoing. Can you reduce the volume, please?
Yes, sir. My question. Hello. Am I audible now?
Slightly better.
Hello.
Yeah, slightly better.
Sir, can you give the fuel mix for this quarter?
What mix? Sorry.
Fuel mix for this quarter.
For this quarter. Okay. Just a second. We were in terms of the power and this thing, petcoke, etc. You talk.
Yeah.
So we have in this quarter about 45% each of 45-46% of both petcoke and coal, and balance is the biomass.
Okay. And sir, what has been the lead distance for this quarter?
Lead distance for the quarter. This is separate for the north and separate for the east. We are close to about 400 crores in the north and about less than around 300 odd, 320 odd for the
around 390 kilometers.
390.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Vandan Soni from SBI Cap Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to know the standalone full year volumes. I missed it because my call dropped.
What is your question? Sorry, can you repeat?
Standalone full year volumes.
For this quarter you wanted to say?
For full year.
Full year.
Sorry, I couldn't make out her question.
Sales volume, she was asking about the sales volume for the full quarter. Full year.
Full year. Yes.
Yeah, our sales in JK Lakshmi standalone was 98.89 lakh tons, and in Udaipur we did about 20.36 lakh tons. And then there was some inter-unit sales of about 14.75, which is to be eliminated. So on a consolidated basis, we did a sale of 104.5 lakh tons for the year.
Okay, that's all from my side. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Due to time constraints, we'll be able to take the last two questions. Next question is from the line of Vinod Modi from Lion Securities. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity and congratulations for a strong sort of number, sir. You said, sir, 41 crore revenue for RMC division. Can you give me the total non-cement revenue including blocks, POP and solar power, sir?
Just a second.
Rajesh?
Total non-cement revenue is 95 crore for the quarter.
Okay. And sir, I remember in previous quarter you stated that you are targeting almost 500 crore kind of revenue from value added segment. So are we still intact in our view? And can we see sharp jump in this non-cement revenue going forward in coming quarter?
Yeah. Our plans are in that direction. Though some setback has taken place because of the corona, but then maybe by third quarter you can see that jump.
Sure, great. And last, sir, about your you said 5 to 6% kind of growth on premium cement sale compared to last year. Can you give me in terms of total contribution in trade sale volume for the premium cement? Because I remember in previous quarter you stated the total contribution of premium product has reached to 30% in trade volume. So what is this been number in this quarter, sir?
In the fourth quarter?
Yes, sir.
It was close to 32%, I think. But I'll have to see that number exactly. Don't have it right now, but it's about 32%.
Thank you. We will take the last question from the line of Madhav Marda from Fidelity. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the follow-up. I just wanted to understand that I think on the one of the interviews earlier today, you had indicated that we are targeting to go towards 4-digit EBITDA per ton in the coming times. I think right now we are somewhere in the range of 800 to 850, if I'm not wrong. So I just wanted to understand what are the levers or the drivers that can help us improve our margins in the next, say, couple of years?
See, we are in this fourth quarter figure we have seen and even if what we have achieved is about 922 rupees.
Right.
That is without the other income. With other income, it is about 968.
Right.
So one is obviously trying to improvise further on all the levers, and therefore targeting a further increase of 35-40 rupees in the coming year is not a way of target. But however, as we are qualifying, much will depend on the volumes which are coming up, the impact of the corona, that is subside soon. Then you are able to at least pass on the increase in the cost of the input which is taking place right now.
I understand. So basically, what you're saying is that it's like a 30 to 50 rupee benefit on the internal initiative that can add to the margins. Basically, of course, a lot will depend upon commodity cost and market conditions. But is that the right way I should take it?
Yeah, that's the way to look at it.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question. I would like to hand the floor back to Mr. Vaibhav Agarwal for closing comments. Thank you, and over to you, Mr. Agarwal.
Yeah, thank you, Aman. On behalf of Phillip Capital, I would like to thank the manager of JK Lakshmi Cement for the call, and also many thanks to the participants joining the call. Aman, you may now conclude the call. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vaibhav, and thank you all the participants. Have a safe and a very healthy financial year ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Phillip Capital India Private Limited, that concludes this conference call. Thank you all for joining us, and you may now disconnect your line.